AFC Bournemouth shocked the Premier League during the 22-23 season, finishing a respectable 15th in the table after many backed them to finish bottom. Since sacking manager Scott Parker after a 9-0 loss to Liverpool only 4 games into the season, Bournemouth flirted with relegation until they pulled clear in April under the stewardship of interim manager Gary O'Neill. O'Neill's success was touted as one of the managerial performances of the season, so many were surprised when the board opted to relieve him of his duties last month. However, their intentions became clearer when later that day they announced the signing of Basque-born manager Andoni Iraola on a 3-year deal. Iraola recently ran out his contract at La Liga side Rayo Vallecano, having spent 3 seasons there, guiding them to promotion in his debut season through the playoffs, before recording impressive 12th and 11th place finishes and a Copa del Rey semi-final, all whilst operating on a shoestring budget. It's a punchy move from Bournemouth's board, but with how weak their squad is, they've got to take some risks if they are to defy the odds once again, and few would argue that there are better options suited to a club with a limited budget than the 41-year-old. So here's what Bournemouth fans can expect from Andoni Iraola. Throughout his tenure at Vallecano, Iraola has run a 4-2-3-1, which will be familiar to Bournemouth fans as it's the exact same formation that they played under O'Neill. That said, Iraola's playstyle is considered far more aggressive, mainly due to the off-the-ball work by the team. Iraola's Vallecano looked to press high when off the ball and force turnovers close to the opposition goal, which was shown by Rayo Vallecano only allowing, on average, 9.5 passes per defensive action, the 3rd least in La Liga. This high-pressing style has been seen in the Prem in the past, most recently with former Leeds manager Marcelo Bielsa. In fact, much of Iraola's tactical philosophy has similarities to the Argentine, who he played under at Bilbao from 2011 to 2013. Bielsa succeeded with this style at Leeds to an extent. He was the manager that returned Leeds to the top division after 17 years in England's lower tier, and leading them to a 10th place finish in their first season back. However, he was sacked less than a year later, with Leeds in 16th place and having the worst defensive record in the league, having conceded 63 goals in just 27 games, with many of them coming from counter-attacks, a result of an overcommitment to the press. There's quite a strong trend within football that the more chances that are created by a team, the more likely they are to find the back of the net, but the issue for a lot of sides is creating chances in the first place. This was quite the problem for Bournemouth last season, putting up an average of 9.4 shots per game, the worst in the division, and when you lack the players that can play that killer ball or leave it on a plate for the attacker, you have to find a way around it. Iraola has favoured a long passing style in which the centre-backs spray the ball from deep towards the wide players high up the pitch. If the wingers lose the ball, then the opposition must build out from a deep position and are quickly flooded by the press of the front line. But if the wingers win the first or second ball, it sets up a counter-attack with more open space with runners to run into. It creates more opportunities, a sort of controlled chaos. This worked extremely well for Vallecano last year, forcing 68 high turnovers, the second most in Europe, only behind Bayern Munich. Playing these long diagonal passes to the wingers requires having 2 centre-backs that are relatively comfortable with the ball at their feet, which means that Iraola will probably line up with the centre-back pairing of Marcus Senesi and Ilya Zabarny come August. Zabarny has had limited game time since his £19 million move from Dynamo Kiev in January, but Argentinian Senesi played just shy of 2,500 minutes in his first year with the Cherries and impressed especially in the second half of the season. An aggressive presser in defence and competent with the ball at his feet, it seems he will slot into Iraola's plans quite seamlessly. However, he only won 54% of his aerial duels last season, so if this new coaching staff can make him a bit more of a force in the air, we could see Senesi flourish in this new system. At Vallecano, much of the attacking output and creativity came from the wide players. Issy Palazon led the team with 9 goals in the league in the right midfield position, with Alvaro Garcia chipping in with 5 off the left. Even the fullbacks contributed heavily, with left-back Fran Garcia putting up 5 progressive carries a game and completing 26 crosses into the box, the 4th most in La Liga last season. Iraola looks for relentless running from his squad, but especially the fullbacks in particular. He stated that his teams look to get in behind the back line and give players in immediate areas space to work, pulling it back into the box for someone to try and get a foot on. Fortunately, Bournemouth are stocked with the young talent in the wings. Marcus Tavernier, Jayden Anthony, Dango Ouattara and new signing Justin Kluivert all seem to be serviceable wingers. However, all of them aside from Ouattara failed to register 10 goal contributions, and only 4 of his have come since his arrival from Lorient in January. That said, the production of the wingers should go up just because of how involved they are in the Iraola attack, specifically Ouattara and Tavernier, who will probably be the starters in August. The odds are stacked against Bournemouth once again, but if they are to go down, it's not going to be without swinging a few punches, and Iraola may just be the haymaker they need to avoid the drop. If you've made it this far, comment below how you think Iraola will get on with Bournemouth this season, and if you have any suggestions for videos you want to see, make sure to mention it as well. I'll see you in a bit.